All right, guys, video on the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin. This is not financial advice, okay? This is my personal trading journal. I'm not even a profitable trader, okay? So just keep that in mind. But anyways, so I've been trading a lot. I've been doing a lot of intraday trading with a degenerate amount of leverage, although I've been using a very small amount of cash, like less than 50 bucks. Like my account size is honestly $20 because I'm just trying to learn. And I've been offsides on the market a lot because price action has been very bullish, and I'm used to trading in ranging conditions. You know, like this sort of bullshit right here, right? This sort of bullshit, this sort of bullshit right here. Okay, and what I mean by that is typically when price makes a low right here, right? It'll come, range for a bit, run the highs before running the lows, testing the supply of the lows right here before actually running the highs, right? So this is the sort of environment I'm used to. A lot of times you'll get something where price will make a low, right? Range a little bit, take out the highs, and then run the lows, creating a spring, you know, before going up and taking the highs, okay? And that's not the way price action has been recently. Recently, price action has been like this. Come down, take a low, right? And then price just slowly grinds up until it just explodes up, right? And I'm not used to this, okay? Because I'm waiting for price to come back down to test supply here, and it's not. We're getting very shallow pullbacks, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why isn't it coming down to test the supply here? And I'm just offsides on the moves up, okay? And this is something I honestly cannot be mad about this, because this is just the way the market is, and I need to adapt. So that's why I'm making this video, so I can kind of think through my thoughts and also just like, you know, just share some of the things I'm looking at. But anyways, so this is a daily chart of Bitcoin, and in my previous videos I've talked about the idea that this is one big large Wyckoff accumulation potentially, where this is the spring down here. This was the spring, this is your spring test potentially, right? It's very possible we can come back down here. And I was flirting with the idea that this right here could be a last point of supply, especially if we just get rejected off of this. But that does not seem to be the case, or at least the probability that this is a last point of supply has significantly decreased because of this move up here, right? Taking out this high. So the question becomes, I think personally, it's more likely that we actually go to the upside and hit the middle of this channel, which is about what, 43,000, as opposed to coming back down here, right? But if we do take out this low, that'll be pretty bearish. If we take out that low, then I think it's more likely that we come down here to about what, 18.7K, but that is to be seen, right? So that's why I'm going to go down onto a smaller time frame to actually analyze what is going on in here, okay? So this is the structure that we have been playing around with. Now, I think the structure can be seen as this right here, okay? Just like that. You could put this into two separate structures, but I actually think it makes sense to have it as one structure, and I'll tell you why. Let's mark it off. So this is our selling climax right here. We had our automatic reaction right here. Okay, we had a spring right here. We had a very shallow spring test right there, okay? See, this is a good example of like, I was expecting us to come down here to really test that supply that was down here, but we didn't. We had a very shallow test right there, okay? And then right here, we had what could have been an SOS, but I think right now, that's a UTAD, right? That was a UTAD, not a side of strength. And the reason why this is a UTAD is because, see the supply right here? We actually came and tested it with right here. So this technically, to me, is a last point of supply. Last point of supply right there. You also had another LSPI right here, and potentially another LSPY right here. Now, typically, when you have these UTADs right here that come up, you're going to test the bottom of the structure. And I still think that's what's going to happen unless we get a significant amount of volume right here and we start creating a sign of strength. And I don't think that's likely. I think what's more likely is we're actually going to come up here and then we're going to run the lows really quick, you know, maybe testing the supply that's actually down here before we actually run the highs, right? And you can also see this as a bear flag, or a bull flag that's occurring right here. I don't usually like using technical patterns, but I found in this bullish environment, these technical patterns are actually playing out, which is very surprising to me because I'm used to them not working. For example, right here, you had like quintessential ascending triangle right here, like where you have, I can't draw right there. You can see like quintessential ascending triangle. I think that's ascending triangle where you just blew out right here. If you want to look at this in terms of Wyckoff terms, you could see this as your selling climax. You had this as your automatic reaction, and notice how there is no structure test right here. Okay, this is again that idea that we're not really getting tests of the supply here. I'm used to a ranging context where price will come down to at least test the bottom of the supply before continuing upwards, and this is not what happened at all. Instead, we get just an automatic reaction. We get a couple UTs right here and right here, and then we got a sign of strength right here. before actually coming up here to mitigate some of the volume that was, or the positions that occurred right here. And right here, there was some accumulation going on from, or some absorption going on from Binance, which I will show you in the volume a little bit later. Since we're talking about the smaller time frames, let's jump down to maybe a 5-minute time frame. I am looking for a short right now. I think this is a distribution top right here, right? Where you had selling climax right there, you had your UT right here, you had your sign of weakness right here, okay? Now, this could be the last point of supply right here. But this could be the last point of supply right now, and if you were a normal trader and weren't looking to use a degenerate amount of leverage, I actually think this would be a decent position to get short right here, right? And then you set your stop loss up here. But because I am a degen and I like using an exorbitant amount of leverage, I am looking to be positioned up here, okay, on a test of this supply block right here, okay, because this is where I would feel comfortable actually being in a position with a degenerate amount of leverage, okay? And the idea would be to take this, right, get positioned right here, stop loss above here, and then ride that all the way down to take out the lows right here, okay? Because this is, in the larger grand scheme of things, this is another last point of supply. This is another last point of supply, just like we had right here and just like we had right here. And with each of these last points of supplies, what happens is you run the lows, okay? You ran the low right here after creating this last point of supply, and then after you created this last point of supply, you run the lows, which were set right here, right? With this right here, that's selling climax. So I do think this is the topping structure over here that will run the lows of the bottom here before we actually test the supply here, before we run the highs, okay? Maybe. That's a big if. Now, instead, if what happens is price grinds up here, okay, and we take out this high, I think it's much more likely that we blow out of here, okay? It's much more likely that we blow out here, and this was actually the low. In that case, I'd probably look to flip long, look for a position long to take us to, I don't know, however high. We shall see. I do have an alert set around here to potentially get short once we enter into this area, and it does look like we are forming a basin right here. Probably a lot of people shorted on the way down here, expecting this to be the topping structure, but the market makers, of course, are not going to let people have easy 100x shorts right here. They're going to run it up, right? Really instill that sense of FOMO in you that we're breaking out before actually setting it down, okay? See, another thing that is interesting to me is how trend lines have been holding up, and I'm used to trend lines not holding up. And sorry, this probably looks really messy. Okay, I was watching the charts pretty vigorously as we ranged in this, and I was just surprised to see like how we were holding up on this trend line here, because there was no volume. There was barely no volume going on within this range here. It felt like manipulated PA. Okay, so here's the delta volume in this ascending triangle, if my theory is right. Okay, obviously we had a lot of volume right here, okay? We had a lot of volume in the perp market, and we had a lot of volume in the spot market. But as we started to come up at these lows right here, look how sparse volume is, okay? And to give some context, the light green candles in the perp market means that there's over 10 million buys or sells right here. So this one would be over a 10 million sell. This was like almost 30 million in sales right here. And right here, this was 23 million in buys, okay? In the spot market, I have the same thing set up, except it's 1 million. So if you see a light green candle that is 1 million in buys, or a red candle is over 1 million in sells, okay? But at these lows here, okay, you do get a little bit of buying here, but you don't really get much, okay? It's very sparse. It wasn't until actually right here where we actually had a breakout and we got sent to the highs. And if my theory is correct, okay, if I'm understanding the charts better, okay, if we come back here to an area where another low was set, you can see lots of buying right here, and see at the lows you had just healthy amounts of buying right here, right at the lows, boom. So people are like chasing this up. Buys right at the lows here, boom, spot and perps, right? Okay, not that much buying right here, but then once we get up here, lots of buying all the way up, right? And then even once we get down to here, okay, you actually didn't get that much buying right here. It seems like not too much, but you had a lot of buying that came in right here. So I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling, but to me, this PA, at least when I was watching it live, it seemed very sparse. It didn't seem authentic. It seemed like the market makers were intentionally stepping the market up here to run the highs, okay, of the liquidity that was generated right here. Okay, and in this section right here, there was a lot of absorption going on, especially in the spot market. And what I mean by that is here, let me switch this to CVDs. So what I mean here is, so we had this topping structure that played out right here. And on this move up, you had an extreme amount of spot buying, okay? And if I exclude Binance, you can even see that there's a lot of buying that wasn't Binance. So there's a lot of organic demand right here. But price, as you can see, was not making a higher high. As you can see, there's a pretty big divergence of spot buying while futures was selling. So someone was stepping into the market, holding the market down here. And that was really peculiar to me. When I saw this, it was very interesting, okay? Okay, I can confirm that it was indeed Binance spot buying, because here in the CVD, you can see it is stepping up gradually, right? Coinbase is also buying. If I switch this to a delta, you can really see how much Binance spot is buying within this area, and it's being absorbed by a large player that is stepping up at the top. Perhaps this was a sign that shorts are being filled, because after this moment right here, at around like after this UTAD that happened right here, the downtrend, this marked the start of the downtrend, which sent us and ran the lows here. Okay, ran this low all the way down here. So that was very interesting. Just something I'm going to keep in mind, like looking for patterns of bearish absorption versus bullish absorption. And this was, I think this is a good example of bearish absorption, where market makers potentially were filling shorts in this area in order to send the lows. I have not seen bullish absorption yet, okay? Even running this low, there does not appear to be bullish absorption, but I could be wrong, okay? Maybe there was a lot of accumulation that was going on here. See, that's why I think that we have to take out these lows. And then once we see this same sort of pattern where you have absorption going on, but underneath resistance, where people are really scared and FOMOing, then I think that's when we'll actually start to run the highs here. But right now, I think we do run the lows. Okay, so some other notes I have from today. Like I said yesterday, I was trading this range in here, and I was offsides way more often than not. I was shorting throughout here without understanding that this was a breakout, right? And we're not going to test the supply down here. And just looking at my notes from what I was doing wrong, I can see that I should have recognized that futures was indeed bidding the market up, okay, right? And spot was buying the market up, right? So why should I should not have been shorting when the CVDs and perp and spot have been bullish, right? And even right here, like I was like trying to instantiate, or I was trying to rationalize that this was a topping structure of some sort, when in hindsight, this is like a bull flag, right? There's no reason to be bearish right here, right? It makes a lot more sense that this is actually the topping structure. One, because you actually had a long liquidation here, which I believe this is a sign of weakness, because it shows that even on this breakout structure, you had a huge long liquidation, which showing you that price action is a lot more top heavy, and there's a lot of contracts in there, right? Not only that, I'm not sure if this has any merit, but you also had a significant amount of contracts closing on this on that long liquidation. As you can see here, there's 1.6 closing contracts right here. Similarly over here, when you had this long liquidation right here, you had 1.5 contracts closed. But I'm not sure how much merit this has, because contracts closing does not necessarily mean that a bottom is in. I mean, right here, you had 1,000 contracts closed, and that was not a bottom, right? Bearish price action continued. Another thing that's interesting about this area is you also had a ton of contracts opening up at the top here. So I wonder if these were longs being positioned right here, which got liquidated upon this move right here. Okay, so to review current price action and to reiterate current thoughts right here. In hindsight, this range right here, you had your selling climax right here, automatic rally right here, no test of the supply. Instead, we get bullish grind up, creating essentially a ascending triangle. Then we get our sign of strength right here, which leads to the further markup, which occurs right here. Right now, I do think this is a distribution pattern. You got your buying climax right here, automatic reaction right there. This is our UTAD, right? You have your sign of weakness right here, another sign of weakness right here. This potentially could be an LPSY, okay? If we take out this low, then this confirms to me that this is indeed an LPSY, last point of supply. There might be some people wondering why this could not be a spring of some sort. Like, why isn't this the spring and this a spring test? And the reason for that is if I actually visit my, if I look at the volume here, you can see that spot is selling right here, okay? If this was actually a spring, then you would see both spot, I believe you would see spot buying here, right? Organic demand coming into the market. Futures is bidding the market up, okay? See, futures continues to bid, even though we're seeing weakness amongst spot, which is why I think we're actually going to come test the supply right here. So I do think this is a sign of weakness. I guess we'll have to see whether or not this low gets taken out, or if we actually do get a move to this supply area over here where I can load my short and perhaps ride it all the way down to the lows here. But anyways, guys, another thing I want to look at is this volume profile of the sign of strength as it occurred right here. So I can see what that looks like. So in the Delta EMAs, futures was bullish. Okay, spot was still bearish. But when spot did flip bullish, it actually marked a local top right here, right? And we're getting rejected right here at also the midpoint right here. Healthy amounts of buying in spot and both futures on this move up, okay? And at the lows here, you do have futures buying at the low here, okay? More buying, spot buying, or futures buying near the top here. Also at this low right here, you do have a big buy from futures and both spot, which is a very strong signal in my opinion. This wasn't directly at the low, but you do see buying, little green bits of buying right there. Okay, and then of course you had buying right here. So, and it's generally trending upwards. You have short liquidations, like right here you had almost 500,000 in short liquidations and 600,000 in short liquidations here. And in spite of these shorts being liquidated, new highs are being set. Okay, you had more shorts liquidated right here, new highs are being set, which is a testament to I think how bullish it was. Taking a deeper dive into the spot market, it looks like Binance was largely selling right here until about this point right here. Binance USDT, Coinbase was going about flat, but Kraken was buying and OKX was buying. All right, guys, I think that's the end of today's video. Thanks for watching. If you watched all the way through, yeah, see you next time. Peace out.